My name is Jason Keller. I'm 41 years old. I used to think I was smart. I built software systems that powered hospitals, banks, even airports. But in all that complexity, I missed the simplest code in front of me, the one my wife was writing, every single day, behind my back. I'm not telling you this for sympathy. I'm not here to make you hate her, either. I just want to show you how someone can be completely blindsided and still rise. I remember that night vividly. I was sitting in the dark, staring at my laptop. The only light in the room was from the screen. The folder was labeled, Tuesday night, bedroom cam. And there she was, laughing. Not with me. With him. In our bed. In the apartment I paid for. Wearing the shirt she used to steal from my closet, the one she once said made her feel safe. They thought no one was watching. But I was. The camera I'd installed just 24 hours earlier, after months of suspicion, didn't just record betrayal. It recorded the truth. Beat, shift into who he is. Before all this, I was just a normal guy. Born and raised in Tampa, Florida. I'm a software engineer. I freelance from home. I've never been flashy. Never needed to be. I believed in loyalty. In building things, relationships, routines, futures. Lisa, she made me believe she wanted the same. We were married for 5 years. 5 years of shared dreams, or so I thought. She took the ring, my car, and the apartment. But what she didn't know was that I kept the security footage. And that changed everything. What I did next wasn't loud. It wasn't violent. But it was the one thing she never saw coming. I met Lisa 6.5 years ago. It was at a tech expo in Miami. I wasn't even planning to go. But a last-minute ticket from a buddy changed my weekend and, well, my life. She wasn't in tech. She was managing an event booth for a wellness brand. I walked past. She offered me some weird matcha energy shot. I said it tasted like lawn clippings. She laughed so hard she snorted. That laugh. I didn't hear it again for a long time. Not the real one. We started dating a week later. She moved into my apartment after 4 months. Everyone said we were rushing. But it felt right. She made pancakes on Sundays. I taught her Python just so she could understand my work rants. We didn't have everything, but we had enough. Or at least I did. She used to call me her genius. She'd sit next to me while I debugged code and pretend to understand what was happening. On our first anniversary, she surprised me with a mug that said, Mr. Fix-It. I still have it. Cracked. But I kept it. That's kind of poetic now, isn't it? We traveled when we could. Nothing fancy. A cabin in Asheville once. A road trip up the East Coast. She loved taking pictures. I never posted them. She did. Always with those captions. Built different. Powered by love. But slowly, something shifted. I'd come home from the grocery store, and she'd be staring at her phone, then quickly set it down. She started locking her screens. Changed her passwords. Said she was decluttering. I believed her. That's the worst part. I always believed her. She began going on girls' trips once every couple of months. Said she needed space. Said I was too work-obsessed. I tried to change. Took days off. Cooked dinner. Bought her flowers. And she smiled, but the smile wasn't in her eyes anymore. The apartment, the one we picked together, slowly started to feel less like home. She'd redecorated. Took down the canvas photo from our wedding day and replaced it with abstract art. When I asked why, she shrugged. I just want something that feels less heavy. I didn't realize she meant less us. Then there were the finances. I started noticing transfers. Amazon orders I didn't recognize. A couple times I asked. She'd snap, say I was acting controlling. So I stopped asking. The Sunday pancakes became Saturday brunches without me. The I love yous got replaced with, did you pay the gas bill? And that laugh? It disappeared completely. Still, I held on. Because I believe that people go through phases. That love survives silence. I never once thought she was cheating. Not until I found that message. But we're not there yet. She used to call me her genius. Then one day, she started calling me too quiet, too weird, too boring. And eventually, she stopped calling me anything at all. That's when I realized. The life I thought I had, the one I'd built so carefully, wasn't real. It was a dream I was having alone. The unraveling didn't happen overnight. That's the thing no one tells you about betrayal. It doesn't kick the door in. It creeps in through the cracks. It started with her phone. Lisa used to leave her phone anywhere. Kitchen counter, nightstand, bathroom sink. But over the last few months, it never left her side. She started sleeping with it under her pillow. I didn't say anything. But I noticed. Then came the whispers. Literally. She'd take calls in the hallway and lower her voice, like she was worried the microwave might record her. When I asked who it was, she'd say, just Chloe, or work stuff, and brush me off. Once, I walked in and saw her switch tabs so fast it looked rehearsed. I wanted to believe it was nothing. I told myself, she's just stressed. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm being paranoid. But paranoia doesn't send secret Uber rides to a part of town you've never been to. Paranoia doesn't whisper, I love you, when she thinks you're asleep, and it's not your name. She started dressing differently too. More heels. Shorter skirts. The kind of clothes she said she grew out of when we first got married. She told me it was about confidence. That she was rediscovering herself. I wanted to be supportive. I told her she looked great. But something about the way she smiled. It didn't reach me anymore. The coldness crept in like a slow winter draft. She stopped asking me to eat with her. Sometimes she wouldn't even come home until 2 a.m. Said she was at networking mixers. One night I asked, do you still want this? Us? She looked at me, really looked, and said, you're exhausting to be around sometimes. That one hurt more than I care to admit. So I shut up. I smiled when she walked in. I folded laundry. I vacuumed. And I watched the way she turned her body when I entered a room. I watched her laugh at texts and immediately tilt the screen away. And I started saving things. Not files. Moments. Moments like the dinner she couldn't make it to because she was sick, but posted an Instagram story from a rooftop bar an hour later. Moments like the unfamiliar cologne on her jacket. The hotel receipts buried in the trash. The gym membership charges at a place we'd never stepped foot in. Then, the final straw. One night, around 2:07 a.m., her phone lit up. I was pretending to sleep. I watched her read the message, smile, then tiptoe out of bed and into the living room. I followed. Quietly. She was sitting on the couch, texting rapidly, trying not to laugh. I stood there in the hallway, in the shadows, watching my wife text another man like a teenager hiding from her parents. And suddenly, I wasn't angry. I was calm. Calm like I'd just opened the last page of a novel I didn't want to believe was real. Beat, tone hardens. I didn't confront her. I didn't shout. I went back to bed, opened my laptop, and ordered the first 2 indoor security cameras I could find. They arrived 2 days later. I installed them while she was at yoga. One in the living room. One in the bedroom. Hidden. Discreet. Silent. Just like I had become, the footage didn't lie. It didn't explain. It didn't justify. It just showed everything. I remember sitting at my desk late that Friday night. She had told me she was going to a friend's birthday dinner. I nodded. Kissed her cheek. Told her to have fun. She wore a black dress I hadn't seen before, and heels that clicked like a countdown against the hardwood floor. I waited 2 hours. Then I opened the app. The camera in the bedroom triggered a motion alert at 9:27 p.m. I clicked. There she was. Not alone. He walked in behind her like he owned the place. Tall. Beard. Some kind of finance guy from the look. She kissed him. Same way she used to kiss me. They laughed. Drank wine. He put on music. She danced. The same move she once did in our kitchen. She brought him into our bed. And she didn't hesitate. Not for a second. I watched it all. Every second. Not because I wanted to. Because I needed to. I didn't cry that night. I didn't smash anything. I didn't scream into a pillow. I just sat there. Still. Silent. Watching the person I once trusted with my whole life lie to my face with her body. And that's when I knew. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to ask. Why? I was going to build a plan. One line of code at a time. One recorded frame at a time. The betrayal didn't break me. It focused me. I created backup drives. Stored footage in encrypted folders. Printed financial statements, bank records, text logs. I reached out to a divorce attorney my client had recommended months ago, back when I joked about marriage being debuggable. I asked him one question. If I wanted to win everything legally, what would you need from me? He said, proof, strategy, and patience. I said, I've got all 3. Tone, calm, methodical, like a soldier preparing for war without ever loading a gun. Over the next 3 weeks, Lisa had no idea that every smile I gave her was a goodbye in disguise. I kept my face calm. I still made her coffee. Still kissed her forehead when she left for her yoga retreats. And every time the door closed, I got to work. Subtle sound of files loading, keyboard typing. I cataloged everything. The footage. The messages. The Uber logs I pulled from our shared credit account. She had a habit of thinking digital meant invisible. I used every tool in my software arsenal. Facial recognition to identify the guy she kept sneaking in. A program I wrote myself ran cross matches on his LinkedIn, Instagram, and business filings. His name was Eric Hammond. 41, married. A financial advisor with a very real wife and 2 daughters in Tampa. I recorded everything. Then I scheduled a secure meeting with my lawyer. I didn't tell my family. Didn't tell my friends. Revenge doesn't need an audience. It needs accuracy. My lawyer looked at the footage, the records, the bank transfers, and nodded slowly. You'll get the apartment, he said. The car. The savings. Possibly spousal damages. Then he looked up at me. You want to destroy her? I smiled. No. I want her to destroy herself. I'll just hand her the shovel. The next step was the lease. She forced me to sign it in both our names last year. Said it was about equality. But she forgot something. I was the primary. She'd walked out with my car, my ring, and the illusion of power. But she left her name on the dotted line. So I waited until she was gone for another weekend trip. And I called the building. Hi, this is Jason Hartman, primary leaseholder at 1206 Westport Avenue. I'm requesting a lock change and a security rekey. Oh, and please disable the second fob. The secondary tenant will no longer be returning. No questions were asked, because I had the papers. The law was on my side now, just like my cameras. I left her car parked in the garage, but I had it re-registered in my name using the purchase records I found in our storage cabinet. She thought she'd taken it all. What she didn't know was, I let her, because the things she took were all traceable. The ring? Insured in my name. I filed a theft claim and submitted footage of her removing it from the safe without my consent. The adjuster's voice was almost sympathetic. She doesn't know that's a felony, does she? No, I replied, but she's about to. The final step? That was the masterpiece. I compiled a 9-minute supercut. Footage from the cameras. Screenshots of texts. Transaction history. Audio clips of her on the phone with Eric, mocking me. I sent it in a Dropbox folder to her inbox with no subject line. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Lisa, we need to talk. I didn't answer. I just removed her number from my favorites, then blocked it. I wasn't playing her game anymore. I'd rewritten the rules. And now, it was time for her to see just how badly she'd lost. The court date was set for a Wednesday morning. Family court. Neutral beige walls. Cold air conditioning. I wore a black button-up. No tie. Just clean, deliberate simplicity. Lisa arrived 10 minutes late. Same confidence. Same smugness. Like she still thought she had control. She didn't even make eye contact with me. Just sat next to her lawyer, whispered something, then smiled like this was a formality. It wasn't. My lawyer stood first. Calm. Unshaken. Your Honor, he said, we'd like to begin with a brief presentation. The screen lit up. First, the video from the living room cam. Lisa entering with Eric. Kissing. Laughing. Her hands undoing his shirt. His voice whispering. He's clueless, huh? The judge blinked. Lisa froze. Second video, kitchen cam. Her on speakerphone with Eric. He's such a loser. Honestly, I'm just writing this out until I figure out how to get the apartment and the car. Her lawyer leaned in, whispered furiously. My lawyer continued. We also have timestamps showing financial activity, including unauthorized transfers, improper usage of shared credit, and removal of property. He dropped a folder on the table. Printed statements. Metadata logs. Hand-signed agreements. Then the cherry on top. My footage of her taking the engagement ring from the safe. I didn't speak. I didn't look at her. I just let the silence hang in the room. The judge finally cleared his throat. Ms. Hartman, do you have a response? It's been 11 months now. The apartment's quiet. Not lonely, just peaceful. There's a dog sleeping by the window. His name's Max. Got him from a rescue shelter 2 months after the court date. Funny thing. I never thought I'd be a dog person. But turns out, loyalty means more to me now than ever. The job's steady. I picked up a contract with a cybersecurity firm in Seattle. Remote work. Flexible hours. I built a small workstation in the second bedroom, the same one she once used for yoga videos. I go for walks in the evening. I read more now. I started writing, not code, but short stories. A few friends came back around. The real ones. The ones who didn't pick sides, just waited until I was ready to talk. Lisa? I haven't heard from her since the final court notice was mailed. I did hear she tried to start over in Arizona. New name on LinkedIn. No trace of Eric. But that's not my concern anymore. I don't wake up angry. I don't replay the footage in my head. I don't need to prove anything anymore. Because this wasn't about punishment. It was about clarity. See, she thought taking the car, the ring, the apartment, meant she took something from me. But she only touched the surface. She never touched the core. And that's what survived. I rebuilt my life. Not for revenge. Not to show her I could. But because I finally understood something. You don't need closure from the person who broke you. You just need to stop standing at the door they slammed shut. So yeah, she took a lot when she left. But I kept something far more valuable. I kept the truth. And that was all I ever needed. Fade out with soft background music, then final quiet voiceover. If this story meant something to you, if you've ever been left, broken, or doubted, remember, there's always a version of you that rises again. Quiet, strong, whole. Subscribe if you want more stories like this. And never forget, you're not defined by who hurt you. You're defined by how you rise.